Hello and welcome back to the Wise Mindset Guy podcast. I'm your host, Nat Palestino, and I thank you once again for tuning into my show. Once again, I would like to thank everyone who's been listening to this podcast this month. It's been a great month for downloads and listens. I really appreciate it. The only way that this podcast can grow is by you sharing and or rating the show, giving a good review and so forth. That would really help me grow this podcast and send my message out to the world, whoever wants to listen to it. And of course, if you love to subscribe to this podcast, I'm also greatly appreciate that. So getting into today's topic of, rethinking the confirmation bias. Now, people have different perspectives to how they view, certain topics and ideas whenever it comes to almost anything. The idea pertaining to confirmation bias is, kind of the tendency to look for, interpret, and recall information that really maintains our preconception. Whenever we come across an objective facts on any kind of issue we look at from the viewpoint that was conditioned from our own beliefs. It comes down to our own beliefs. This is called bias because it becomes strongest. Well, this so-called bias becomes strongest when we look at issues that bring up deep emotions in us. Where we desire certain outcomes that are best in our favor. A great quote that I listened once from, if I'm saying the name correctly, I'm sorry, but it's Avijit Naskar. He says that one way or another, we are all biased. But still, we have the modern cortical capacity to choose whether or not to let the harmful biases dictate our behavior. Very powerful stuff there. Now, confirmation bias can be passed on from one generation to the next. This is especially shown when it comes to religion and politics. Now, our parents really install their beliefs in us when we are young, so it is well ingrained in our mindset. And, those beliefs most likely came from their parents and grandparents and so on. As we come across new bits of information through while we going through our daily lives, and into our lens, which is unfamiliar to us, then a bias can give us a very fast conclusion of how we feel about it. We almost do not know how to come up with different outcomes because our opinions have been firmly established for so long that our reactions become really second nature. We feel that the story in our heads is the right answer to everything. Our brains have been this way for millions of years. When we were once tribal beings. We lived on the savannah, and we had a very different world as compared to modern times. Our ancestors, had to make quick decisions when it came to hunting and gathering, dealing with wild animals, and of course, violent weather. Our survival was dependent upon making quick decisions. In today's day and age, most of us do not have the same kinds of threats so we can actually slow down and think more deeply about certain issues. This allows us to make more awareness of our prejudgment. Slowing down our thoughts is the best course of action since it gives us time to reflect on better outcomes instead of reacting in the same repetitive way. Now, the World Wide Web has been a wonderful tool in our modern times. It has revolutionized the way we perform anything, and it gives all the information we need at our fingertips with lightning speed. The problem is that the information is being projected in our direction with plenty of contradiction. If we do a simple search on whatever topic interests us, we can get an answer to confirm our deepest beliefs. Like, for instance, political views are a hot button issue no matter what country you live in, especially in today's day and age. Whether you are on the left or the right, liberal, conservative, we can receive all the views available to confirm our deepest beliefs politically. If I was, pro-liberal and I could find any information to prove that the left side is the best political choice. However, if individuals would seek out, pro-conservative facts, then we could receive anti-left viewpoints from the web as well. Same internet, just how we want to interpret different facts in politics, right? A more simple example would be about, one of the world's, favorite beverages, coffee. One of my favorite, of course, is. If I like coffee, which I do, and it can be very easy to find all the health benefits that coffee has to offer for our well-being. It can be anything from a morning pick-me-up to cognitive enhancer. There's no short amount of information on the pro side of coffee. However, if I hated coffee, then the internet can definitely prove to me that it is full of health side effects that would actually kill me, right? I could find information on either side of the spectrum, basically. Now, the tips I have, overcoming biases. We need to, of course, get better educated. The more educated you are, and the more books we read, the better we can see different sides of the spectrum. There is a lot of data out there that we can absorb, and as long as we view it with open-mindedness, with an open mind, then we can start to question old views and develop new, fresh opinions. Understanding that biases can be sometimes unfair. We cannot expect that all the information we absorb is true. Bias is considered a prejudice in favor of or against a thing, person, or group. This can cause, kind of negative consequences and polarization. So we need to look at all opinions and digest them carefully. Everyone deserves to be treated fairly. We should also recognize that bias, it really actually exists. We can increase our self-awareness by slowing down our thought process. Do not react immediately when our beliefs are being challenged. Those beliefs have been conditioned in us for many years, and so there is nothing wrong with giving new thoughts a chance. Another thing we can do is having empathy. We can address our different opinions by examining situations from others' point of view. Put yourself in their shoes. Would you like to be treated in a harmful manner based on someone else's beliefs or attitudes? I guess not, right? By answering this question, it can help to justify whether you are being fair to others. Remember a great quote by Marcus Aurelius. He says, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is just a perspective, not the truth. It's very difficult to change people's minds, how they view anything. I can give my viewpoint, but it does not mean anyone needs to follow it. They're just suggestions. My viewpoint is not the only answer. As I navigate this journey of life, I try to obtain all the knowledge available to better serve me. If what I learned in the past does not serve me, then I do not need to believe it anymore. That is all for today on the Wise Mindset Guy podcast. Thank you again for listening. And this is Nat Plastino signing off. Bye for now.